All right.
Hey everyone! Welcome back to the December episode of The Stir.
Yes.
I'm your host, Kasey Helton, and I'm here with my good friends Jace, Arledge, and Nikitin, and we're here to bring you. It's been a while.
We've been on hiatus for a little bit. When was our last episode?
Well, we did that Zoom one.
Yeah, we did the November Zoom. So here's what happened. We all kind of fell ill at various stages.
Yeah. All of us got sick.
Jace was ill a couple weeks ago, and we just decided, you know what, we're going to do this in a chill fashion. Yeah. We're just going to be casual. Yeah. When we can get together and do it, we're going to do it. And then, you know, when we're not, then we just put it on hold.
Right.
But we're glad that we're back here today. Ello, you were just talking about that pillow. I wanted you to show. So we have a. This is gonna be our.
They're gonna look at this pillow.
What was it you said?
They're gonna look at this pillow and they're gonna be like, I knew it. They're all degenerate furries and we must destroy them now.
This is furry. I bought this at Michael's a few weeks ago. I went a little crazy, Christmas crazy at Michael's, like I do every year.
How dare you?
Oh wait, no, this
Christmas.
was Target. No, this was my second store.
How dare you say Christmas?
Yeah, so
that's how they think we are.
What was it you said? You said,
look, people
Christmas,
for some reason think,
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
You see, here's the thing: the people who they think that we get so offended when you say Merry Christmas. I don't care if you say Merry Christmas, but here's the thing: don't get pissed off when I say Happy Holidays.
Right, like it doesn't matter either way.
It doesn't matter. Say whatever holiday thing you want to.
Well, you know, and another thing, let's just go a little further. You know, a lot of people get upset when they put Xmas. Okay?
Right.
Well, you know, X is CHI. That's the
I always thought it was the thing that atheists did because they don't want to say Christ.
No.
Okay.
You say Christmas, the X represents.
You know what it is.
Represents the
You're gonna get my.
Now we're in linguistics.
Research it. That's all I'm telling you.
I mean, what matters is the spirit
You're
of
gonna
the holiday.
give physics teachers a brain aneurysm if you talk like that.
So if somebody walks up to you and says, "Ella, Merry Christmas," you're not gonna lose your shit.
Of course not.
Okay.
Why would I lose my
and
shit?
I'm not gonna lose my shit either. Like I say Merry Christmas to people, I say Happy Holidays. I say
both.
I say whatever.
I really do.
It doesn't matter. What matters is that people have joy in their hearts, like my pillow says, and show kindness, love to your fellow man this time of year. Yeah. Make your heart grow a little bigger. Help some people in need.
I think what the big issue is, and it's like everything, and we've talked about this, is that every little thing bothers people.
Yeah.
You know, instead of just letting people be who they are and how they are. Authentically themselves. People have to nitpick. And I think that's a downfall to society. It's, you know, I don't care. What makes you happy is what makes you happy. As long as you're not hurting animals, children, elderly people, handicapped people, and handicapped people, and you're a decent human being, and you take care of one another. That's all that matters.
Amen, brother. Like, show some kindness and decency, basic human decency. Like, if somebody was walking down the street and they say to me, like, Merry Christmas, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, like, how could you say, no, just whatever, Merry Christmas back, dude, whatever. Happy holidays, whatever. Whatever you celebrate, whatever. Yeah. Anyway, I thought you had a really good point, Ella. You're like, because that is kind of the line. Like, oh, if liberals hear Merry Christmas, they like lose their shit.
No,
like I don't know any liberals who are like that.
Yeah,
it really is the other way around.
It's just
remember the Starbucks cup incident where like they took
what?
Yeah, the red
what
cup.
Was the red cup?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
The right wing lost their minds over
what
that.
You're talking about.
They took what was it? They just made a red cup for everyone. I don't know. Like
it was something that represented
like everyone.
Yeah.
And they were just like, ugh.
Nobody wants to represent everyone.
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. God, only certain special people. And the rest can get bullied.
Nobody else needs representation.
And the rest will be bullied. And we're going to talk a little bit later on the show today about a specific incident.
We got a good show today.
Full show. Yes, very good show. But we're going to talk a little bit later on about a teacher that I actually spoke with earlier this week following an incident back in November. I want to be really careful the way that I talk about this because I had about an hour-long conversation with this teacher the other day. So I have a friend of a friend, so I was able to reach out to this person through friends. And she told me all about an incident that went on with her as a teacher in Hartland schools, and some of the bullying that she experienced that ultimately has led her to go on what she describes as a 12-week-long mental health medical leave. And I guess it's a question as to whether or not she's going to be returning. And I think it's really important that we have a discussion about this because there's a broader picture. There's a broader context that I want to provide to this discussion that I think is missing. And I just kind of wanted to get y'all's thoughts on that as well. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on the show. We're going to also lead off with a discussion about one of our state representatives for District 50, which is my district, Bob Bezotte. His wife has filed for divorce against him. She's claiming allegations of abuse. We're going to cover that. And then Jace. Oh, we're going to talk about unions and inflation. Got a TikTok video we want to share about that as a follow-up to the November Zoom that we did. Because our November Zoom was kind of all over the place. Because I was in the fever dream of coming off of the second COVID diagnosis that I've had in my life, and it was terrible. And we were everywhere. But we talked about unions and we talked about inflation a lot during that episode. And then I found this TikTok video featuring Katie Porter that spoke directly to it. And I wanted to bring into the discussion. So we're going to talk about that. And then Jace is going to have an announcement for us. And then we're going to do Good Vibes featuring Squirrel Friend. Yes. We have some video, the saga of Squirrel Friend. Don't worry, y'all. It has a happy ending. So let's get started. So Ella, can you bring this up for me about Bob Bezotte? So this is something that was in the news I think it was last week. This is Bob Bezotte, okay? Bob Bezotte, he represents District 50, which is the district we are sitting in right now, here in Marion Township. And he is a former sheriff. He was under sheriff, and he was a sheriff. Then he was on county commission. And I ran against Bob for county commission in 2018. Didn't win, but I did run against him. And then he ultimately used his seat on the commission which a lot of these local offices do because local races are so important, people. Yeah. He used his position on the county commission to ultimately clinch a seat in the state legislature. And that's where he sits today. By the way, I have a friend of mine that I used to work with, who now works as an aide in the Michigan legislature. His name's Kevin Shropshire. I tweeted about this on my Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. And he made a comment that Bob Bezotte has the second worst voting record in the Michigan legislature right now. And really? the only person that's worse than him, I think, gets an excuse because he is a veteran that's not a veteran, but in the National Guard. Oh, okay. And he was on duty. Yeah, he was on duty. So he missed some of the votes because he was over there serving. Why is he not? Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know where Bob...
Why is good old Bob not voting if he's put in there by the people? He should be representing the people.
Yeah. And I picked on Bob a few weeks ago. Picked on Bob.
Oh, is this his thing here? Is this...
Yeah, this is Bob's thing. So here, I didn't get to the meat and potatoes of it yet. Yeah. But here's the thing. His wife is saying... after 52 years of marriage, she's filed for divorce against him. And the Detroit News broke the story that she has claimed that he physically, emotionally, and mentally abused her for the 52-year duration of their marriage. So, and she is taking him to court. She's being represented by this attorney who says in her filing that the plaintiff fears the defendant will stop contributing financially to the marital home as well as the bills he's been paying for years. That's a quote. It says here, the plaintiff is unemployed. She has been a stay-at-home wife and mother for 52 years. So she's worried he's going to just, up and after 52 years of supporting her family,
and that's
buy the coup.
What stops women from speaking out and speaking up against men in power that do things to them.
Amen, brother.
They're afraid. They're afraid because they've been taken care of all these years and they have shut their mouths. Yeah. And that is a travesty right there. That is the reason why women don't leave abusive relationships, because they're afraid. And I'm sorry, Mrs. Bezotte, I am so sorry for you. I really, I don't know this man. I thank God, because, but still, any man who treats a woman the way that they're talking about in any way, or shitty, let's put it that way, deserves what they get.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
And, there was a story that WHMI covered this as well. And there were comments on the WHMI story from people claiming to be Bob's friends and family. Mm-hmm. One woman claimed to be Bob's sister, and another one claimed to be a close friend. They said, oh, well, we've never seen this. This is a lie. This has to be a lie. I mean, people just really have a fundamental misunderstanding of what abusive relationships in general are like, if that's what you think. Abusers, and I am not saying right now that Bob is guilty of abuse. No. It's going to play out in the courts. The next hearing is February 23rd before Judge Kavanaugh in Livingston County Court. But what people don't understand is that abusers are master manipulators, and nobody really knows what goes on behind the scenes in a person's marriage. And what Sheila needs right now is some support. But then, another thing that's really interesting about this, and Ella, you just had it up on the screen. So before all this came out, Bob Bezotte was all over Facebook during the time when we voted for, the Michigan legislature voted in the red flag laws, which would essentially, do either of you want to chime in and say what the red flag laws do, or so basically, if a person is caught with a record of abuse, they cannot have firearms in the house. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the aim of red flag, among other things, it's not just abusers, it's also people who have are suicidal, who might people can file to have the firearms for these individuals taken away. Right. So Bob, it's really understandable to me now, why maybe, I don't know, Bob opposes red flag laws. And he's saying they use domestic violence as a reason. Well, the statistics show that in general, again, I'm not speaking directly to what the situation in Bob's family is, but statistically, domestic violence incidents in the homes of law enforcement are higher than on the national average. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is because, police have guns, they have connections, they have ways of connections within the system that have ways of, protecting them. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really bad that, and thankfully the red flag laws passed, thanks to our new Michigan legislature, and women can be protected from the threat of somebody, a boyfriend or girlfriend or, husband, wife, whoever, having a firearm that might want to use it against them in a domestic partner or domestic violence situation. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so we're gonna keep on that story. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out in court. But like we said, we support you, Sheila Bezotte, and we're sorry for the whole situation.
I mean, here's a question. I'm going to be a devil's advocate on this. To me, why would, and maybe it's because I don't think this way, but why would somebody accuse somebody after being with them for that long, or whatever the case is, if something wasn't true or real?
I had this conversation with my husband. I said, something happened.
That's what I'm saying.
Something
had to have happened
something
for her to be. Because I mean, if you want to divorce somebody because you have irreconcilable differences, that's not abuse. That's just that you just don't get along.
If she was sick of his ass, she could have straight up just filed for straight divorce.
That's what I'm saying. So
and not brought the heat.
So and for her to say physical, mental, and emotional abuse, for her to use those words, that's got to be something very serious that has happened. I mean, we're not talking, 25 years ago it happened. This has to be a continuing thing that she just finally can't deal with. Do they have children?
Because I think every woman, they have 4 kids.
Okay.
Women in this situation, they have a breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
We're you put up with so much for so long.
Right.
And then something happens. Mm-hmm. And then you're like, that's it. That's my limit, and I'm done.
Right.
I mean, so after 50-something years, what was the thing? Well, I mean, we're never probably going to know that. But, I mean, there's, like you said, Jace, there's obviously more going on. There's something going on here. Right. And, I mean, Bob Bezotte, it's really hard to overstate the connections he has in this community. As a former sheriff, as a county commissioner, as now a state rep, he knows people on the court staff. He knows judges. He knows prosecutors. This is all he's a very well-connected person. So if somebody who is in an abusive situation with a person who has those types of connections, it's got to be a very intimidating thing to make those claims.
Right. And I just feel sorry for both of them. I actually do.
Yeah, I kind of do.
It's a sad thing for the abuser or the abusee. It's sad, and I feel sorry for their children. It's just, whatever.
Yeah. So just because I don't think I wanted to make sure that, because I don't think I explained red flag laws really well. I just want to say that they're also called extreme risk protection orders. This is what was passed in Michigan, ensuring police officers, healthcare professionals, and family members concerned about someone who may harm themselves or others can seek a court order to temporarily confiscate their firearms. So that's basically what red flag laws are, or extreme risk protection orders, and those were passed by with a majority vote, thanks to our Democratic state legislature, and that's going to protect people. So I think that's a great thing, and it's unfortunate, no matter how this case shakes down, that Bob Bezotte didn't have the foresight as a law enforcement officer to jump in and protect his people, protect us.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna.
Good luck to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just trying to get back on track here. All right, so the next thing that we wanted to talk about, and this is kind of a big story. Like I said, I had a conversation yesterday, a few days back, through connections that I had with a friend, with a Hartland teacher. Okay. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this teacher. We're not going to say this person's name, but on the air, because this person isn't ready to have their name shared. But Ella, actually, when you were at Hartland High School, this was a teacher of yours, right?
Yeah.
Give me a second. I'm going to let you talk about that, but that is very interesting. So Ella actually knows this teacher personally, was in this person's classroom. This teacher has a 17-year tenure with the Hartland Consolidated School District. She was the 2019 Hartland Community Volunteer of the Year. She started a student pantry for people in need. This is like an all-around exceptional individual, both professionally and someone who cares about her community, is a local person. All right. Trying to figure out how to go about this story. There's so many elements here, but basically what ended up happening at the last Hartland School Board meeting in November, there was a student who got up and spoke during public commentary.
Okay.
And for some reason, and we're not entirely sure why, I think it was Channel 2 News was there. And there was all this press there, but there was nothing on the agenda that would have warranted press coverage. So it was really kind of strange that they showed up, but they did. And they got this student on camera during call to the public.
Okay.
And this student happens to be the child of Alex and Angela Yarber. And Angela Yarber, they're Hartland residents. And Angela is running for school board. She's running for Hartland School Board. She's got her website up. She's got everything up. Okay. She's launched her campaign.
Okay.
And we're not about like going after students on this podcast. So we're not really going to focus too much on what the student said, specifically, or who the student was. But the student talked about shared bathrooms, and brought up concerns with students who don't use the restroom of their, what is the term?
Birth.
Assigned. Thank you, Jace. Their gender at their assigned birth. And the speech essentially argued for, I'm going to try to as honestly state this as I can, because of this student's concerns. They seemed to advocate kind of a separate but equal sort of policy. And they said, well, I don't know what the answer to this is, but I have encountered, they mention their personal experience, and they're like, I don't know what the answer to this is, but I don't think that I should be the one who should have to go down to the office to use the bathroom. Just because, I don't want to share a bathroom with someone who was assigned, male at birth who now identifies as female. But yeah, it seems like, on the other hand, from what was said, that maybe they were okay with other people doing that and not them. It just seemed like...
They also started talking about how they could very obviously tell this person was trans based on face and body structure. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay, I know that there's people that are gonna, I don't know, for example, look at me and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, I can definitely tell. First of all, it's not like I ever hide that I'm trans, ever. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's literally, on my Facebook about me.
Yes.
I can guarantee you, if I took off these cat ears, they wouldn't recognize me at all, mm-hmm. and they wouldn't be able. I don't think they'd. Mm-hmm. Right. I don't think they'd notice if I walked into the bathroom,
right.
At all.
You're right.
Well, and I think that this issue is touched on by a lot of people. Has been repeatedly touched on by a lot of people in our community, right-wing community activists, because it's an issue that, unless you're close to it, it kind of confuses people, mm-hmm. and they're not always sure about how they feel about it. Mm-hmm. So, and there's been attacks on public education, and I'm not saying this issue doesn't need a solution. I think it does need a solution, but it needs a solution within the context of what the law says. We have the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act that was passed here in Michigan that guarantees equal protection under the law for all citizens, regardless of gender identity. Equal protection, meaning you cannot have a set of laws and policies for one group and not a set and a different set of laws and policies for another group. You cannot have it. It's illegal. It will be challenged in court and shot down. It's not a matter of personal opinion or preference. This is what our laws say, because in our history of the United States, we have court precedent that goes all the way back to the 1960s and before, when we were dealing with racial discrimination in our schools, mm-hmm. that says you cannot have policies in our public institutions that say black children and white children can have separate but equal policy. That is guaranteed in our Constitution. Okay, so I am all for a solution, but it has to follow the law. But that is not really what this is all about. So I'm trying to move along here while at the same time explaining what happened with this teacher. Okay, and I'm going to hold your thought on your teacher, Alec. I want you to talk about this, but I want to explain what happened. So I was told I cannot go into detail about a lot of what happened in the classroom that led to the harassment of this teacher. But what I can tell you is that there was an investigation into the allegations that the Yarbers made against this teacher. There was a formal complaint that was filed. The teacher is not a teacher of the Yarbers' child. This is very important that you know this. This is not a teacher.
That was my question.
Yeah, they're not. That's not the student's teacher. Okay, this is something that happened in class involving a discussion around what the Yarbers' child said. At that public meeting that everybody saw on TV, and when you put yourself out there at a public meeting and you're going to say something, that's your chance to say your thought. Mm-hmm. That's a part of our tradition here with the democratic institutions. You can freedom of speech, but that does not relieve you of the consequence that people are going to have thoughts and opinions who may disagree with you and who are also going to express those opinions. So without getting into everything that happened, I can tell you that according to this teacher, an investigation was conducted with an outside group that came and did this. There was texts involved, not texts from the teacher, but texts involved in the situation at hand. So there was material evidence that the investigators could look at, and it was determined that nothing happened. The teacher in no way harassed, belittled, violated FERPA, which was another allegation that Yarbers made. Alex Yarber did an opinion piece that was published in, I'm not even going to, online. We'll say that. You can find it yourself. But these were the allegations that were made against this teacher. The investigation was done. Nothing happened.
So what you're saying is that they lied.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could say, one could say.
No. Don't use that word lie.
Don't say
Their perception was off.
No. Their perception was off.
No. Is there a case to be made for the fact that the Yarbers may have potentially defamed this teacher and opened themselves up to potential litigation? Yes. I would say anyone could sue anyone for defamation for any reason. Now, the standard of proof is higher in some cases than in others. Right. And the amount of work and the amount of money that people are willing to put in it. But here's the fact of the matter. This complaint that the Yarbers filed, and again, Angela Yarber is a public official. She is running for office. She has declared her candidacy. The Yarbers have been very vocal about this teacher. That complaint opened a floodgate on this teacher. Okay? This teacher's picture was posted on social media. Her face.
By?
Larry Parsons. And let me say another thing here. Let's add some further context to this. Angela Yarber is a teacher herself.
Really?
She teaches for a private school outside the district. Yeah, I think it's a Catholic
understand
school.
So I have a question.
Now, let me tell the whole story, and then we're going to get to it.
Okay.
So she's a teacher. She's a private school teacher in Holly. That's what she is. So her picture was circulated on social media. She had stuff written about her.
This teacher that we're talking. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
She felt like, and listen, I know a little bit about what this feels like because I've experienced this myself. When I was going through my situation with the sheriff, where I was facing potential felony charges for tweeting, I had somebody that sent me threatening messages. I had to go to police. The person said they knew where I live. I knew who the person was. They were very forward about who they were. This was a person who had been to militia events in the past, who had an assault record. And I had to go and file a state police report. And the state police told me the same thing they told this teacher. There's nothing we can do about this unless they make a direct overt threat to you. There's nothing we can do, but we're going to take your report. So that's what this teacher did. She filed a report with the Michigan State Police. And you know what's interesting? After that report was filed, the stuff came down. But which is the first time I think I've ever seen stuff taken offline. That I know that you, Ellie, you've had harassing stuff against you. I've had stuff against me. I've never seen any of it taken down, but this was taken down.
Yeah.
You couldn't find it anywhere. But you know what? The damage was already done. Right. This teacher, this volunteer of the year for this woman who teaches honor students. She taught Ella. She's volunteers for her community, made a food pantry, with her students. Now suddenly doesn't feel safe in her own home. She's looking over her shoulder when she's at the store. She's like, what? This is a disgrace.
Yeah, that's too bad.
It's an absolute disgrace. So here's what ended up ultimately happening, and then I'm going to open this up for discussion. This woman went on she's currently on a 12-week medical leave. Okay? And this is a mental health medical leave. That is her description. She has had anxiety. She has had panic attacks. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And I know a little bit about what she feels because I've like I said, I've been through this a little bit myself. And I don't know. I said I was going to open this up for discussion. So first of all, can you tell us what was your experience with this teacher?
Yeah, I mean, she was cool, but the thing that really I remember about her is she was the only teacher that advocated for LGBT rights in any way. And by advocate for, in this case, I don't mean going up and making a whole political thing in front of the students.
Yeah, what do you mean by that? What is it?
By advocating, I mean mentioning that trans people exist in general.
Yeah.
Like mentioning the existence of trans people. She was the only teacher the entire time that I remember that did.
And how did that make you feel?
Anything like that.
How did it make you feel? This is in the course of a lesson, that she would. Could you give us Can you talk a little bit more?
I don't remember.
Yeah, no, but tell me more about So because what I'm hearing from you is that you felt accepted and safe with her.
Yeah.
As a person, you felt like she saw you. Oh, I just put my hair on.
Well, I don't think I saw myself back then, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But she was there to protect those who were different.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But the other thing I want to mention here is I don't think we should be sugarcoating what the Yarbers did. What they did, they weren't, saying inaccurate information. No. What they did, or at least what someone, maybe it wasn't them, maybe it was someone talking to them, but what they did was lying. We can't sugarcoat that. We can't say...
Yeah, you never... Once it came out that the investigation was completed, and that nothing was found, I can't seem to find anything online about them saying anything about that. So, in fact, this teacher, when she filed her police report, she said, the police asked her, Has anybody speaking, has anybody told these people to stop doing this? Has anyone at your work told people to stop doing this? And she said no. It doesn't seem to me to be a very big step. If people want to file complaints against teachers in a private matter, that's fine. Right. I think that they should, if there's a concern. But this went way beyond that. This went way beyond a parent-teacher grievance. This went into, I'm going to publish your picture and make you a pariah in the community.
Yeah.
And make you feel unsafe.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem that I see. Her kid doesn't even have this teacher. So why would it be her or them? I understand. It was because, in general, the conversation was about the student speaking at the... It could have been Joe Blow speaking, his student speaking at the thing. Would Mr. and Mrs. Yarber still do the same thing for Joe Blow's kid?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they had no skin in there. This teacher didn't say anything against their child. Their child didn't hear. They're going off of hearsay and perception of someone else. Yeah. Now, it's like me, okay? I'm a school bus driver, right? I get up there and kids will say things to me, and I tell kids, no, that's really not how it is. You know, like they talk about just different things. Like, I'll tell you, for instance, Jesus came up on the bus. Mm-hmm. They wanted to know, Mr. Jace, what's the reason for the season? And I said, well, it's loving one another and mankind and goodwill towards men and things like that. And they're like, and I said, well, helping your neighbor and, you know, being with family if you've got them, or choosing family if you don't have them. And I said, well, and Jesus was born on Christmas. And I said, no, he wasn't. I told them, I'm a history teacher. I know this. And they said, yes, he was. I said, no, he wasn't.
Yeah.
I said, history can prove that he was not born on Christmas. So I tell the kids the truth. Now, the kids, whether they want to tell their parents, if the parents want to come to me and say something, it's all perception. I'm not telling them anything other than what happens. Yeah. And that's what this teacher did.
I could tell you this was all based on third-hand information.
Exactly.
Yeah, and this, they were not there. And
a kid, they're going to believe a kid.
Yeah, I can't, without going into specifics, this was a hearsay situation, a he said, she said.
That's what I wanted to hear you say.
And
people need to hear that.
So what Ella said, though, is very important. It needs to be called what it is.
Yeah.
And so,
sticking their nose.
I don't know. Ella, can you go in and show the Facebook page of Alex Yarber, what Alex said on Facebook? So, that one right there. So, this is a post that Alex made on his Facebook after this whole incident went down, and he's talking specifically about his kid here, and the response that people had to what he says. He says, laughably, radicals in our community of Hartland are alleging that my daughter comes from an anti-trans family and is making up a false incident in order to promote our extremist ideology. In fact, we want a safe environment for all students, he says. And all students should be respected and made to feel welcome, but not at the expense of others. Very important thing that he says there. Unfortunately, this experience shows that teachers are, in fact, he's speaking of the experience of this teacher situation that we're talking about, this Volunteer of the Year award teacher. Mm-hmm. This experience shows that teachers are, in fact, trying to indoctrinate our students, and that is the extremism that no parent should tolerate.
Okay, first of all, he talks out of both sides of his mouth.
But so let me you're damn tootin'. You're darn tootin'. So let's show you. Let's see. So this is Alex Yarber saying that he just wants a safe environment for all students. This is put up that graphic, Ella, that he posts.
Which one?
The one on the trans. There we go. But out of the other side of Alex Yarber's mouth, not even a few months before, here in June. This was in June. That the post I just read is in November. Alex Yarber says, he posts this picture for those of us who are on audio with us. It's a swastika. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube.
It's not a swastika. It's pride flags arranged.
Very
meticulously to try and look like a swastika.
And it also includes, and this is so ridiculously offensive, but it includes the black and brown symbols for trans people of color.
But for allies, that's the progressive ally flag too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because the flag. So Alex Yarber is basically saying, Alex Yarber, who claims to support. What was the statement again, Alex? Put it back up on the screen.
For all students.
We want a safe environment for all students, and all students should be respected and made to feel welcome. Is it very welcoming of students, if this flag was shown somewhere in Hartland High School, arranged into a swastika, that were put on a wall on the first day of school, how would gay kids feel? How would trans kids feel? How would kids of color feel? How would Jewish kids feel? Like, how would they feel?
Well,
would they feel welcome and respected?
This is the whole thing that I say about people when they talk like this. I'm gonna call it what it is. They talk like a person with a paper asshole.
What is a paper asshole? Jace, explain it for us.
You know what it is. The shit just falls all out. Come on. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. That's what it is. You cannot say, I want safety for all children, but I want my kid to have most of it. That's what they're saying. That's inevitably what they're saying.
Yeah.
They're saying that, we like you, but you're not like us, so we don't like you.
And they're putting this veneer of acceptance on it, which really is only designed to. What it's really designed to do is make themselves feel better. But it
promotes hate, and right now in the environment that we are in this country, hate is the fuel. Yeah. And Mr. Yarber, with his words, he tries to sugarcoat it enough to make people think that he cares about all students, but then he throws in that little piece underneath that is a veil.
Right.
It's the sheet over the guy's face that runs the corner store at night. And then, get what I'm saying?
Angela Yarber, she had a post just like it. Alec, can you find the post that she put up? So this is not just Alex that thinks this way. So here's what Angela Yarber wrote back in August. In May, the Hartland Consolidated Schools Board of Education voted to have sexual propaganda eliminated from classrooms. Yet I am still hearing that the rainbow flag stickers are posted. Even the former board president wore clothing with the rainbow to a staff meeting. This is so disrespectful to the citizens of Hartland. Angela posted that in the Hartland, Michigan Schools Parent Free Discussion Group. So it's both of them.
Well, what I'd like to know is, when did a rainbow flag or a sticker become sexual propaganda?
Well,
that's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, we covered all that thoroughly. We did a whole episode about
Right, but I'm saying they still don't get it.
No, they don't get it. But you know what? This is about something bigger than this.
Oh, yeah.
And we're running out of time, but I really want to make sure that there's something bigger going on here, y'all. And it's not about trans kids using bathrooms.
No.
Okay?
You know what one thing I want to say about this is, Jace, okay, I don't remember what the expression is. It's like shooting your own one thing to spite the other thing.
Cutting off your nose to spite your face. My mother used to say that all the time.
Yes, that. Right. This is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. This is what they're doing, in a way.
I think sometimes they grasp at straws because they don't know,
The reason I say this is because, they think that they're always going to be able to tell what biological sex a person is when they walk into the bathroom. But if they're putting on this mindset of, we need to be a detective about everyone that walks into the bathroom, they're going to screw up and shoot themselves in the face.
Like the underpants
figuratively.
Brigade. Like, how are they going to police that? Are they going to... I didn't want to go too much into this.
Well, practically, here's how it is going. Practically, how they would do it is basically it would probably be based off of this student claims they saw this other student walk into the bathroom.
I thought I read somewhere. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read somewhere on one of the school board pages, I don't know where it was, but that they are talking about making it a policy in the school boards about birth certificates.
So you have to show your birth certificate every time you want to go
it has to be on record with the school that if you change your birth certificate, okay?
Yeah.
If your parents allow you to change your birth certificate because of your identifying sex, then it has to be on the premises at the school in your file, so that if you do end up using that restroom, like me, I use the men's restroom, I would have to have my birth certificate on file that says that I'm male, so that I could go in there and everybody would know This is something that they're working on. They're trying to figure out how to do that, but here's the problem. Not all kids have their birth certificate. It takes a lot because you have to change your name. Right. You have to go through all this stuff to get a birth certificate.
It costs money.
And it costs lots of money. And a lot of kids are not going to do that. Their parents aren't going to do that right now. Not because they don't support their child.
But some of them don't.
But some of them don't. But still, some of them that do, they don't have that money to do that.
And why is this? This is just a lot of extra steps.
Exactly.
And really, is it that big of an issue? I'm not saying it's not something that needs to be addressed. My personal take on this whole bathroom issue is this. The state Supreme Court needs to weigh in on yes or no, is this a violation in schools of the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act? There. Then we have but there's a thing. This issue is a perfect issue for the right wing because it is a, I don't want to say a gray area because it's not really a gray area. It's a question of rights. But it's an issue that confuses people and not everyone immediately understands what the right answer is. And so it's a veil to cover up something else, another agenda.
Oh yeah.
So
well, why? Here's my question: why are they concerned about Ella using the bathroom, but they're not concerned about me using the bathroom?
Well, they're not concerned about me because I don't go to school there anymore. I graduated ages ago.
People like Ella, that concerns these people. My daughter deserves to be safe, but they don't care about me.
No, I want to let me, because you raise a good question, but I'm going to stick to what my guns on this one. This is not really about bathrooms.
No.
People need to understand. So there's a larger picture going, okay, so Ella, I want to keep,
let's do the larger picture.
Okay, let's keep this going. So Angela Yarber, in the midst of all this, appeared on a podcast of a man named Dave Bondi. Can you show, do you have the clip, Ella?
The tweet?
Yeah. What's that?
Yeah, this one.
This one. Okay, now, y'all, who is Dave Bondi? Okay, Dave Bondi's got about 22,000 followers on Twitter. Don't play it yet. So...
How many?
Let's see. He's got about 20, I would say like 22,000
Is that
followers.
big?
That's a decent account.
I don't know. I'm not
That's
on
a
X,
decent account by X standards, okay? And Dave according to his Twitter, X, whatever, he's the digital and video content manager for the Mackinac Center for Public Policy. Okay? Keep that group in your mind. The Mackinac Center for Public Policy has been around a very long time. And they are a right-wing think tank. They're basically a bunch of lobbyists. And Dave here, he's got 24,000 followers on X. And he, with like... right within, I think this was the next day. When was the Hartland School Board meeting? What was the date of that? Was it November 13th, I think it was? This is within a few days of their daughter's speech. She magically ends up on a podcast on Dave Bondi. And here's what she has to say. This is Angela Yarber.
The concern is that this is happening with not a lot of preparation to the student body. And so the kids are told to use reason and respect and responsibility and told to be nice. But when you're in the bathroom or in a locker room situation with someone of the opposite sex, there's no cameras. Who knows what could happen? And I just am cautious about this. I think it's kind of a recipe for disaster.
Okay. All right. So she appeared, she has there's a whole interview that she does, and Dave Bondi charges people for these interviews where he's he feels like he's watching eyes on the locals, even though Dave Bondi's not really from Livingston County.
He charges you to be on that?
No, he charges people to watch it, to watch the interview.
What?
So, at any rate, so the one thing that the Mackinac Policy Institute has been really involved in. And Ella, can you bring this picture up? This picture of Betsy DeVos.
I was just going to say it's a Betsy DeVos thing, isn't it?
Yeah, that one. Back it up. One more. There we go. So the Mackinac Center it says right here, this is This is from the MEA. I'm going to be very honest with you. This is Michigan Education Association teacher union. This is their website, but there's nothing disputing these facts. This is just factual information here. This is from March 2017. It says here, the Mackinac Center has for years tried to divert public funds to private and religious schools. In 2000, their attempt to amend the Michigan Constitution to allow vouchers went down in a landslide. 31-69, the early 2000s, it was a wash. Like, no one wanted vouchers in Michigan. So it says that must have stung, given that the enormous amount spent to pass it were the highest ever. This is in 2000. And the DeVos family contributed $4.8 million along with the Mackinac Center to bring vouchers. And now, so here you have Dave Bondi featuring Angela Yarber. So, like, what do Angela Yarber, Dave Bondi, and 5 yacht-owning Betsy DeVos. Betsy DeVos owns 5 yachts, by the way, y'all. 5. What do they all have in common?
They want funding to go to private schools.
Well, here's the problem with
private schools.
Here's the problem with this voucher thing, though. What they're trying to do here is take the funds that are being used in public education and take the funds that are supposed to be spent on teachers, on equipment, on, I don't know, technology, buildings, everything. Take some of that money and divert it into the hands of private investors that have billions of dollars. That's what they want to do.
Amen, sis.
Because for some reason, people in this country, rich people in this country, feel entitled to profit off of everything for no reason.
Well, and you said a little bit, it's not a lot of money. I mean, these vouchers, this is a lot of money that would be diverted from public education into private school dollars. And this has been Betsy DeVos's pet project since the early 2000s and before. Yeah. With assistance from the Mackinac Policy Center, which she has, her foundation has contributed up to in the hundreds of thousands of dollars worth to Mackinac Policy Center. So they're major contributors. So, and then here you have Angela Yarber on the show. So ask yourselves, folks, ask yourself, how do you go about convincing an entire population of the state of Michigan who has repeatedly voted down and rejected roundly public dollars to be used for private education? How do you get them to support that idea finally? What strategy? No. What strategy would you use? You would use the strategy of doing everything you could to discredit the job that public education, to confuse, to confound. You would use issues that are tough issues, not necessarily black and white issues.
And by the way,
to confuse people and try to make a joke out of public education.
Right. I want to say something. If you feel like your public school board is not listening to you, if you feel that way, that's okay. But I want you to realize that if you decide that you want to switch to private schools, there is absolutely no recourse. If the private school is not doing what you want it to, you can't tell them to not do that.
Absolutely.
Because there is, at a public school, you vote for the school board and you have some say. At
there
a
is
private
no school boards on private
There
schools.
is no school board.
And they're not regulated. So I grew up in private school. I went to private school till 7th grade. Private Christian school. They can reject you for being disabled. They can reject you for what color you're from, your economic status. They can accept and reject whoever they want, and there is no parental oversight. Nope. Absolutely
you
none.
Think you don't get in this? You think you're bitching and complaining that you can't get into your kid's classroom now? Try and get into a Catholic school's classroom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Try.
I'll tell you a real quick story about what happened to me in private school. So my parents, because like I said, I told the story before. I grew up in Detroit. Detroit schools in the 80s were not very good. My parents put me in this private school. And I got in trouble. Like, something happened where I was like throwing gravel. Like, I don't remember. Like, there, kids like being stupid. Like, being this kid got into it. And like, I picked up some gravel and I was like, this is like second grade. Okay. And the principal who had a big paddle on his wall in his office, wanted to take me in his office and paddle me. Mm-hmm. And all they did before they called my mother. That was the only thing they did. They didn't ask for permission. They were like, we're going to do this. Mm-hmm. And my mother came roaring like a bat out of hell from wherever she was and came up to that school and said, if you paddle my daughter, that's the last thing you're ever going to paddle in your whole damn life over my dead body. Are you ever going to hit my child? But that was what they were, and it didn't happen. But that's what they can do in private schools. They can do corporal punishment. They can do whatever they want.
That's right.
So these parents who think they have things bad right now, you don't even know how bad it can get in a private school. And so and this is really a financial scheme because like Betsy DeVos needs to buy her, like,
you know what baffles me?
Needs to buy her six yacht now.
You know what baffles me? These conservatives, they will sit there and they will, sit there and complain about, the big pharma. They'll complain about rich people. They'll complain about, oh, Jeff Bezos is so evil. And then they'll turn around and support those very same kinds of people with these policies of trying to privatize their schools.
By these people, you mean multi-billionaires. Yes. Betsy DeVos, by the way, is worth, I wrote it down. She has a net worth of $5.4 billion. That's Betsy DeVos's net worth. And this is her pet project to bring, you're right. Like, they're
shooting themselves in the face.
She will monetarily benefit from it.
They're pawns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's the word that we're looking for here. These people like like Angela Yarber, people like, and all her posse who are harassing this teacher off her job, are pawns for a much larger money-making scheme here, which is to bring a windfall of public dollars into private education.
But you see, I mean, Miss Yarber works for a private school.
She sure does.
So there's where you could see things going. She knows how it works at her school. Now, maybe her school's different. I don't know, because I don't know where she works. But from my experience as a teacher, with private schools, chartered schools, and public schools, for better or for worse, they're the best option. Out of those three, they're the best option.
Okay. So listen, I'm not trying to diss on all private schools either. Here.
No.
If you want to send your kid to a private school, I'm all for it. But that's your cost to bear. My parents, they wanted us in private schools. You know what my mom did? She went out and got a job. That's what she did. We were a single income family when we lived in Detroit. We moved out here. We became a double income family so that my mom could afford private school tuition for me and my brother. We could have gone into public schools when we first moved here, but it was difficult. My brother, he went into private school before me because I just had a difficult time adjusting with the move. So my mom put me in private schools, until 7th grade because I didn't do transitions well, and I had a hard time, but I still don't. By the way, so but you should not ask the institution of public ed to change and make public ed a religious institution or to try to drain money from public ed. That's your expense. You should be responsible for paying for it. Whatever happened to this? Aren't they always the ones with the ethic of, well, if you can't afford it, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and go buy it? Isn't that the conservative mantra? Why are Republicans pushing this socialized? It's social welfare for the wealthy.
Right.
Wait 1 second. So are we sure Angela teaches at a private school?
Oh, is it okay? She's a public school teacher.
Yes.
Oh.
All right. Okay.
I
don't know.
I don't know the lady.
I don't know the lady either.
And that's why
so whatever. So she teaches for a public okay. What? So she's a public school teacher.
So she
Apologies
should
to Angela Yarber.
Yes.
So
it stinks to have misinformation put out there.
But she should understand.
Yeah. Well, at least we fixed it in the same episode.
We did fix it in the same episode.
This is what bothers me. Then she should understand that what she's doing to this teacher, it could happen to her.
It could happen to her.
Yeah.
And really,
why? This is
go off, friend.
This is what bothers me about people. They have no concern for the well-being of other people. And like we talked about earlier, everybody talks about, want to go back to the good old days. Want to go back. No, when you went to the good old days, you didn't do this to your fellow neighbor. You didn't treat them like crap. Mm-hmm. You know,
you didn't run people and like harass.
You didn't have
the community volunteer of the year of her job.
Because the same people who are talking crap about this teacher probably voted for her to be the volunteer of the year.
Yeah.
So how?
And they run. I know. And then they just.
By the way,
ran her off the job.
I just want to mention that we have reached an hour of runtime so far.
Okay. So, this has been a really good conversation, and we're gonna have to cut it short. I do just want to say that this is going to be, this issue is going to be potentially ongoing. I can't really say what's gonna happen with this teacher, but I will say that we're very sorry for what happened to her. It was inexcusable. It's a disgrace. Both the union and the school district had a duty, in my opinion, to speak up and say, this is unacceptable. You do not harass our employee off their job. There are ways to go about dealing this, and you're not doing it correctly. It should have been a public statement should have been made, either by the board or the administration or the union. Somebody should have spoke up and protected this teacher who was sitting in her own home feeling unsafe. For what? Again, I ask this question. I feel like I ask this question every episode. Why? For what? It's unacceptable. It's embarrassing, and this teacher deserves better. And I really hope that whatever ends up happening for her, that it's great and it's everything that she deserves. And by the way, the teacher that's replacing, I don't mean to use that word, like who's sitting in for this teacher while she's on medical leave, is just graduated out of college, like brand new teacher. So,
sorry,
anyway.
I bumped your microphone.
That's where we stand with that. So now that we're over the mark, we have a really quick good vibes. We're just gonna go ahead and share it. So our friend of the show, who's been on the show before, Julie Ohashi, rescued a squirrel. She calls them squirrel friend because this was a squirrel.
Would you like me to play the video first?
Yeah, play the picture first. No. Show the picture of the squirrel first.
Oh, you want to see the picture?
Yeah, I want the picture of the squirrel. So
first.
Really quickly, for today's good vibes, Julie Ohashi, friend of the show, savior of squirrels everywhere, was driving down the road in Livingston County and saw this little baby in the middle of the road. She thought it might be either dead or severely injured. She managed to trap it because she's amazing with like animals. She does so much stuff. She's done a whole lot of work to like rescue cats in Lahania and other pets because that's where she's from. So she rescues the squirrel and they brought it to a vet. The vet did squirrel. I don't know what she did. They did some sort of squirrel therapy.
Squirrelologist.
And brought this thing back to life. And she has video, show it, Ella, of them letting this squirrel friend go out into its home, where this was the day after Thanksgiving. It's gone now, and he's living his best life out in nature again. Here's show it there. So here's the squirrel friend fly.
It's feeling great.
Boo! You're free. I just love that. I love that so much. So we want to thank Julie for sharing that with us. If you have,
so cool.
Listen,
hey,
if you,
first of all, I want to correct you on something.
Yeah.
Because you know how everybody always likes to make stories up. Julie, you said that she was from Hawaii, the Lanai.
Well, she lived there.
So just because they'll pick, she's from Howell, but she lived in.
She's not. No, you're right. You're absolutely right.
You know where I'm
we
coming
want to
from,
correct
right?
our errors. Yes, she's from Hartland. No, you're absolutely right. We don't want any more rumors going on. Unsubstantiated rumors around Julie than there's already been.
Really
She's Eskimo.
Quickly, just mention this. You know how Yarber's
Sorry,
a
Julie.
teacher, not at Hartland. Does that mean we get to say the next time she says, "Oh, I'm a teacher," she's like, "Oh, now she's lying about being a Hartland teacher"?
Oh yeah, that's a whole other thing.
Yes.
Let's not get into it.
Anyways.
For sake of time, no.
We're out of time.
No, so the one other,
I like that squirrel.
We got one other really quick announcement. We didn't get to our union stuff, but you know what? We'll get to it next week or 2 weeks from now. There's a TikTok I really want to play for you for Katie Porter, but if Ella, can you put our socials up there? We want to hear your content. If you have anything to submit for us for good vibes, please send us an email or it's the stirpod at oh my lord, I just my brain just went blank. We've had too much talking.
Oops.
Proton.me. The stirpod at proton.me. There we go. The stirpod at proton.me. That's our email. We want to see your kid pics. We want to see your accomplishments, any charity that you're involved in, your pet pics, send us a good story so that we can end, sometimes depressing news like we went over just today on a good note. And then check out our socials. Follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, and please like and subscribe us on YouTube.
And share with your friends.
Share with your friends. And
right.
With that in mind, we've got one final thing, and then we're closing up shop. I'm going to throw the joy pillow to Jace. Jace has got an announcement.
The joy
Jace,
pillow.
Let us know what's going on, dude.
It's not good news per se, but it's exciting news. Today, for right now, this will be my last in-person podcast with the Stir, because I am venturing out and doing something different. I've been a school bus driver for the last 3 years in Fowlerville, and I'm getting older, and I figured I don't want to be retiring in my 70s driving a bus.
Although I do think you'd be the most badass 70s bus driver.
Well, I appreciate that.
But that's hard to drive when you're older, too.
We just had one of our bus drivers retire that was 75 years old.
Yeah, you have to have really good hearing to be a bus driver, too. It probably goes down a little.
Yeah, and this man he was ready. I mean, he was a Let's bus driver for years.
Oh, okay.
And then he came and drove bus for 10 years. So he started in his 60s.
Okay.
And he just finally, but I'm not wanting to last another 7 years driving a school bus, especially with the environment that's out there right now. I've had my own issue in Fowlerville where I'm to the point now where I speak and say how I feel because, what are they going to do?
Right.
They're going to fire me? Sorry, I just have to say it.
No.
I mean, and I have nothing against. I love the teachers there. My children have gone all through school there. My last one graduates this year. I still feel that teachers and parapros and bus drivers, especially bus drivers, and maintenance and all those people, the custodians, they don't get the support they need from the administration because the administration doesn't have the backbone to stand up to the public. And that's a problem.
Yeah.
We have one person on the school board that I feel stands up for the people, for the teachers. She's a former teacher. She knows. Mm-hmm. See, that's where she doesn't allow the outside voices to dictate how she feels about something. Yeah. And I mean, when we all know, everybody knows, because I'm trans, I was called a pedophile, and all on social media. It's been out there. Never once did I have the school board or anybody stick up for me and say, hey, nobody ever reached out to me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. How are you? Are you okay?
Just like with this teacher.
That's why I understand this. And that bothers me. Now, and I didn't get the union involved in any of this because, it's just something I've been dealing with this for years. So
listen, these people are bullies.
Well, okay? They are.
And I don't know if there's some sort of misguided notion among school administrations that like if they just ignore this bullying behavior that it will go away, or if that you give them a bone they'll go away, if you do one thing that they really like they'll leave you, that is not how bullies work. No. Bullies will push and push and push. They will push the bounds of what's acceptable until they get what they want. And what it's led to here is a situation with you where now you're on a new adventures. And I wish you all the best, my friend. But my heart's a little broken for you because I know how much you love driving to school. But I know how much this teacher loved teaching her kids in class. Like Ella, it's just, we already did our good vibes, and now I'm already going down this road, but it makes me so mad.
And that's why I feel the way I do, because,
to be good vibes.
I love every single one of my kids and their families. I mean, every single one that I've had, even the ones that have graduated. And this was a very hard thing for me to do. I mean, my last day is this coming Friday, the 22nd of December. And, it's going to be a very bittersweet and hard day for me.
Well, I just want to say, we love you. We miss you. You are welcome on this show.
Well, you can
anytime. We're going to zoom you in.
Yeah.
And then
hopefully not while your bus is zooming down
Livingston
the highway,
County,
or your truck or whatever.
Yeah. Like I hope people who are watching this really, really think about this and realize that we're better people than this. Yeah. We are not a community that bullies teachers. We're not a community that bullies our school bus drivers, the people who look after kids in our community. If that's what this is going to become, we all need to do some serious self-reflection and think about how this is going to be addressed. So before we go, 2 upcoming shows. January 7th, we're going to have Sarah Cross on here. She's a local attorney, parent advocate and she's on the board for Defense of Democracy, which is a pro-democracy nationwide group. Sarah Cross is a friend of mine. She has been gung-ho going after Moms for Liberty, and she's got stories to tell. So we're going to have Sarah on January 7th. January 21st, we're going to have Angie Roulier. She wrote a book called Pot for the People. We're going to do a whole episode about cannabis. And then lastly, we're booked through February. February 4th, we're going to have Pat Johnson on of Left of Lansing. Follow Pat on Left of Lansing at Twitter or at Left of Lansing on Twitter. He interviewed me this week on his podcast, and you can check that out. I've been on his show a couple times talking about like activism, progressive activism. Now he's going to come on our show on February 4th. So mark your calendar for all that. Everyone, we missed you so much. We're so glad to be back. Yes. Jace, mwah, mwah.
I love you guys. Just know that, and I've got your back. Now I can speak up a little bit more.
Yes, and we're looking forward to it. See you, everybody.
Freedom.
Have a great Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Holidays.
Happy holiday.
Peace, peace.